they'll be assuming office with some of the most challenging and existential questions facing a prime minister in my lifetime.
The stakes couldn't be higher in this election. We have 12 days left in this crazy election, and I want to get your thoughts on what's happened so far, and what do you think are going to be the most salient issues in the post-election period?
The next prime minister is going to face challenges on all three fronts.
She said this is a high-stakes election. There's
Yes.
motivated by fear and hope, I think the National Post just said.
The current political dynamics, the set of policy assumptions that are reflected in policymaking over the past decade aren't working for them, and they're looking for something new and different to, in the words of Polyev, restore the Canadian promise. If you're an older Canadian, then your basic outcomes over the past decade or so have been generally good. You haven't been affected by out-of-control housing prices. Are they principally concerned about Trump, or are they principally concerned about change? I think it's fair to say, Sean, that Mark Carney is the most globally connected prime minister we've had since Lester Pearson. I was at a G7 event this week in Toronto, and I was talking to someone who's seen Carney at play at G7 meetings and G20 meetings and so on over the years, and he knows every person in the room. And he's well regarded by most people in the room. I think the Canadian population is moving in one direction, Sean, with all of the nationalist zeal and the elbows up and all the rest. They're spoiling for a fight. The most important outcome of the next prime ministership may be securing a stable, durable economic and security agreement with the United States. I think the stakes are that high. And so I say all that because I think it's less about the characteristics or experiences of individual leaders and more the media and others need to put some of these hard questions to them.
Are we really essentially in the position of a vassal state?
How important is access to the U.S. market, and what are we prepared to live with in order to maintain it? Being prime minister is a wonderful job. Clearly, Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney have great ambitions to secure it, but there will be a lot of days in the next prime ministership where it doesn't feel like a wonderful job. It is just a really complicated dynamic, and you almost get the sense that it is going to require a kind of exercise of political leadership that we haven't seen in some time, where a prime minister is going to have to make almost like a national address, where he basically lets people in a bit to the way he's thinking about these trade-offs. I know you have some of the smartest listeners and viewers in the potosphere, but it's worth remembering 80% of Canadian exports go to the United States. That percentage has actually been climbing, not falling, in spite of all of these free trade negotiations. Mark Carney as a politician is designed for a ranked ballot system, where the relationship between political office and democratic accountability is broken. We don't have that in Canada. He said, for Mark Carney, governing is campaigning. He's possibly being elected because people see him as the prime minister, and so the best thing he can do is be the prime minister. On the question of what comes next.
If you have caucus, you can do anything. If you don't have caucus, you can't do anything at all.
Another famous one, of course, is the two biggest issues the prime minister faces is national unity and Canada-U.S. relations. They'll be assuming office with some of the most challenging and existential questions facing a prime minister in my lifetime. I think that the capital gains tax increase in the last federal budget was a major catalyst. It wasn't just that the government was raising taxes, they were adopting class warfare rhetoric to defend it that felt like they were hostile to entrepreneurship. Can conservatives create a kind of synthesis between a technology ethos, which is, in the words of Musk, move fast and break things, and a kind of conservative disposition, which, as you say, more gradual, more incremental, in some ways suspicious of that kind of radicalism.